There's a version of burnout nobody talks about. Not the dramatic one, not the collapse, not the breakdown, not the morning you genuinely cannot get out of bed. The version that keeps showing up. The version that keeps delivering. The version that looks completely fine from the outside and feels like nothing at all from the inside. If you've ever looked at the burnout content out there and thought, that's not me, I'm still functioning, this video is going to give you something you probably haven't found yet. Not a checklist, not a diagnosis, a description. The specific interior, honest account of what the quiet version of this actually feels like, so that you can finally stop measuring yourself against an image that was never yours to begin with. Here's the image most people carry when they think about burnout. Someone at the end of their rope, in a way that's visible. Crying at their desk. Calling in sick for a week and not getting out of bed. The meeting they finally walked out of. The resignation letter they typed at 2 a.m. It's a real image. It describes something real, but it describes a late-stage, highly visible presentation. One that announces itself, that makes the decision for you, that removes all ambiguity about whether what you're experiencing counts. Most people who are burning out don't get that announcement. They get the meeting where they performed engagement while feeling absolutely nothing. They get the Sunday evening that somehow feels worse than Monday. They get the project they finished, delivered on time, received well, and felt nothing when it was done. They get the specific exhaustion of continuing without any part of them that actually wants to continue. And then they look at the image they've been given, the dramatic one, the visible one, and they do the math. That's not me. I'm still going. I'm still delivering. Maybe I don't have this. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm just not built for hard seasons. Maybe I'm softer than I thought. That math is wrong. Not because you're not tired, because you've been comparing your interior to someone else's exterior, and those are not the same measurement. What burnout actually feels like is almost never what it looks like in the images. And that gap between the image and the experience is where a lot of people stay stuck. Quietly, for a very long time. So let's talk about what this actually feels like when you're living it. Not the clinical version, not the checklist, the interior version, the one you probably haven't heard described out loud yet. It feels like a low-grade static where enthusiasm used to be. Not sadness exactly, not depression in the way that word gets used. Something quieter and more confusing. A kind of flatness that coexists with your ability to function. You can still write the email, you can still run the meeting, you can still be described by everyone around you as capable, reliable, fine. And underneath all of that, nothing. Not nothing in a dramatic way. In a quiet way. The way a room goes quiet when something leaves it and you can't immediately name what's missing. It feels like rest that doesn't work. You take the weekend. You sleep. You do the things that used to feel like recovery. And you wake up Monday the same, or occasionally more tired than Friday. Rest that doesn't restore is one of the clearest signals that something specific is happening. Not a signal that you need to rest harder, but a signal that your nervous system has shifted into a state where the normal inputs stopped producing the normal outputs. Research on burnout recovery shows this consistently. The absence of restorative rest is not a sleep problem. It's a sustained physiological response to chronic demand without genuine recovery. It feels like enjoyment that went quiet. Things that used to produce something. A genuine response, a feeling of looking forward, a sense of pleasure, now produce a muted version, or nothing at all. You go to the thing. You do the thing, you report to others that it was good. And somewhere in the back of your experience, you notice that you felt almost nothing. It feels like guilt that never fully turns off. Even in the moments you're not working. Evenings, weekends, a vacation someone talked you into taking. There is a low, persistent current of guilt that runs underneath whatever you're doing. Not because you're doing something wrong. Because your system has been running so long on the equation that stillness equals lost ground, that it has stopped knowing how to stop. High functioning doesn't mean fine. That phrase matters here. Because everything described so far, the flatness, the rest that doesn't restore, the quiet loss of pleasure, the guilt that follows you into the weekend, all of it is happening inside someone who is externally still functioning. Still showing up, still being the reliable one, still fine. And that brings us to something almost no burnout content gets to. Here's the part that makes the quiet version so much harder than the visible one. The dramatic version of burnout comes with a signal. Something breaks visibly. Something stops working in a way other people can see. The system makes the decision. You stop or you're stopped. The quiet version doesn't do that. The quiet version keeps running. And because it keeps running, because you keep delivering, because nothing visibly breaks, because the external evidence says you're fine, the permission to stop never arrives. You cannot give yourself permission to treat something as real when nothing external has confirmed that it is. So you wait for the signal that never comes, for the moment that's bad enough to count, for the version of this that looks like the image you've been given, so that you can finally, with some confidence, say, yes, this is what I have. You didn't miss the signal. There wasn't one. That's the thing nobody explains about this version. It was specifically designed, by its own nature, to never announce itself loudly enough for you to feel certain. The uncertainty is part of the experience. The doubt, maybe I'm just weak, maybe it's not that bad, is not a character trait. It's a predictable feature of a collapse that doesn't collapse visibly. And there's a mechanism underneath this that's worth understanding. Briefly, plainly, when your nervous system has been running a sustained demand response, months of high output, high stakes, no genuine recovery, it shifts. Not dramatically, gradually. Cortisol patterns change. Dopamine response flattens. The reward signal that used to make effort feel worth it starts arriving late, or not at all. This is not weakness. This is physiology. Your body isn't failing you. It's doing exactly what a system does when it has been running past capacity for longer than it should. The flatness is not who you are. The numbness is not your character. Those are your nervous system telling you something in the only language it has left after the quieter signals went unheard. What burnout actually feels like is not the image you were given. It feels like continuing. It feels like nothing. It feels like guilt about the nothing. It feels like rest that doesn't reach you. It feels exactly like your life, just slightly emptied out. And that description, the one you just heard, that's not a softer version of someone else's experience. That's its own thing, with its own name. And it's real. If part of what's kept you from naming this is not being certain whether what you're carrying actually counts, there's a short assessment in the description built exactly for that. 5 minutes. No clinical language, no pass or fail. Just a clear, honest picture of where you actually are and what that might mean for where you go next. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, here's what naming this actually does. It doesn't fix it. Not immediately. What it does is something smaller and, in a way, more important. It converts a private confusion into a recognizable experience. And that conversion matters because you cannot recover from something you've been gaslighting yourself about for months. The self-doubt has been doing real work here. Every time you told yourself, I'm probably just tired. Every time you measured against the dramatic image and came up short. Every time you added the layer of, maybe I'm just not strong enough. That was not neutral. That was weight. On top of the exhaustion. On top of the numbness. On top of the already too much. Naming it doesn't add a demand. This is the fear that keeps some people from going here. That if they acknowledge this is real, they'll have to do something about it immediately. That recognition equals obligation. It doesn't. Naming it just means you stop spending energy arguing with yourself about whether you're allowed to be tired. You are. Not because you've hit a dramatic enough threshold. Not because you've earned it. Because it's real. And it's been real for longer than you've let yourself say so. The one small thing available to you today is not a recovery plan. It's not a system. It's this. Stop requiring the dramatic version before you allow yourself to call this what it is. You don't have to be at the end of your rope. You don't have to have the breakdown first. You don't have to wait for the signal that isn't coming. What you've been carrying has a name. The quiet flatness. The rest that doesn't reach you. The guilt that follows you into the weekend. The performance of fine while feeling nothing. That's not weakness. That's not just a hard season. That's a real experience in a real body that has been real for a while. And that deserves to be treated as such. One small thing. No audience. Just let it be real. If this video opens something you want to take further, the assessment in the description is the natural next step. A clear, shame-free way to understand exactly where you are. Link in the description and the pinned comment. When did you first notice the gap between how you look to everyone else and how you actually felt inside? You came here, possibly, not entirely sure you belonged here. Maybe you typed the title into a search bar because something in it matched something you've been carrying, and then spent the first few minutes waiting to find out whether your version counted. It does. The quiet version counts. The functional version counts. The version that's still showing up, still delivering, still being described by everyone around you as fine, that version counts. High functioning doesn't mean fine, and the absence of a dramatic signal doesn't mean the experience isn't real. It means you've been in a specific kind of hard, the kind that doesn't announce itself, the kind that asks you to keep doubting it, the kind that is, for that very reason, one of the hardest things to give yourself permission to acknowledge. You didn't miss something. You weren't too slow to catch it. You were carrying something that was specifically designed to make you question whether you were carrying anything at all. What changes from here doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be a plan, a system, a 30-day reset. It can just be this: letting the description land, letting the name mean something, allowing yourself, without having earned it, without waiting for a worse moment to confirm it, to say, yes, this is real. This is what I have. This has been real for a while. You are allowed to do that right now, not because the video said so, not because a checklist confirmed it, because you already knew. Somewhere in the specific texture of the flatness, the specific way rest stopped working, the specific weight of performing fine while feeling nothing, you already knew. Not yet is a complete sentence. And so is, I am starting from here. One small thing. No audience. No requirement to have earned it first. You are allowed. That's the whole thing.